as head of the department and in the Department of Psychiatry, Stanley Medical College, Chennai from 2003 to 2010. He has also served as a reader and professor Madras Medical College from 1981 to 2003. So his achievements include he is the president for Indian Psychiatry Society. He has been the president for the Indian Psychiatry Society from 2011 to 12, zonal representative for World Psychiatry Association 2011 to 14. He is the chairperson of awards committee for Indian Psychiatry Society. He is also a committee member for the hospital development in SRM Institute of Science and Technology. So one of the major achievement that is in his in career is he has been the author of the book. So pardon my Tamil. So Kuzanthaigal Mananalam is that book is being awarded as best book by the government of Tamil Nadu in 1998. So interestingly, he is currently working in the research of concept of mental health, then obsessive compulsive disorders, relapse prevention in alcohol dependence, and sexual medicine. So particularly the field of research in mental health nowadays, it is in the COVID times, it is a lot of people are going through a lot of stress because it accompanies a lot of mental stress. So I believe that he is going to throw a lot of light on the how to tackle with the current issues in this regard. So I welcome Dr. Thirunobu Karsu to start his talk. Thank you, sir.
Good morning to everybody. First of all, I thank Professor Navanithan and Professor Ponnusamy and the organizers for giving me this opportunity with you all, to be with you all in this on the eve of the Diwali. I really appreciate and congratulate the amount of courage you have conducting a conference on the eve of the Diwali. And I appreciate that there are so many participants are there. I thank the chairperson for giving nice words about me. Actually, going to the talk, I must congratulate the organizers for selecting this topic. Really, it is a wonderful topic. The topic says that development of emotions and stress management in the faculty development. Really, it's a good topic and it covers a lot of subject or whole of psychology related to the persons. So now can I go to the first slide? Slide. Are you able to see my slides?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not able to see the slide portion.
Sir, we are in the slide. Emotions shape our experience of the world. That slide.
Okay.
And the previous slide. Yeah, that's it.
First one was a slide was with the SRM logo.
Yes, sir. Then the second slide is the title with your name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I see the slide in the screen?
Yes, sir. It is now shared. You can actually see our screen slides in the side videos. One of the video you can check the slides will be there on my name Sendil Kumar.
Okay.
You can see you double click that one, then this slide will come as a full screen for you.
That yes, Sendil Kumar Iswaran, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That slide, you can double click that one, then it will become a full screen for you.
I couldn't get that.
You're not able to see, sir?
Yeah, I can see only as a yes, capital yes.
Sir, otherwise you can see in your tab. You can see your slide in your tab and we will run the slide.
Sir, in the speaker view, the side you can see the speaker view, sir, actually.
No.
The side or top, the videos will be there, sir.
Previously, I was able to see the slide. Now I am not able to see the slide. I see only as a capital yes in a red dot.
One minute, sir. I will,
Dr. Chandru, please stop recording. Once the program starts, you can start.
Yeah, please, sir.
How to change the slide?
So just say the next slide, sir. We will change it.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, you see, this particular topic of emotional development is very important. Now I grouped this topic to 3 levels, like what is emotion, then what is the emotional intelligence, and what is the problem-based learning, then the management of stress. As like that, 4 levels I have grouped into that so that it will be easy to follow. Now, actually, to start with, in the world, people was very much worried about the finance, economical capital. Then they thought that the money has no value, and then it came the intellectual capital. Whoever was intellect was considered as best. Then the intellectual capital, intelligence also became a waste now. Then they told that it is the emotional capital. That is emotional investment is very, very important. That is called emotional intelligence. Then what they thought that if even the emotion is not able to succeed, it is a social capital. How many people you know is more important than whatever you have. That is how it keeps changing. In that process, we will talk about these things. And the emotional, first of all, next slide, the emotions actually, see, emotions means it has got something like it can shape our experience of the world. Based on the emotion only, our experiences are being decided. And what happens is it may be a few seconds emotions to a very enduring one. And it is always tied to your developmental process. What happens is, based on the emotional experience, my development changes considerably. For example, if I have a sense of security, if I have a sense of insecurity, or if you have a sense of certainty or uncertainty, that will change my whole developmental process itself. Next slide. So what happens is, everyday life, the emotions are being perceived. We study the emotions based on developmental stages like infancy, preschooler, middle school, adolescence, and adulthood. Next. In infancy itself, a newborn child has got emotional experiences. What is the different type is, the emotional arousal is very just like a movement. It comes like a crying or a exuberant delight, and it is always unregulated and uncontrollable unless otherwise a caregiver comes and intervene it. And it is very raw and basic. It is not sophisticated or civilized way of expressing emotions. It is very, very raw and basic. From here only the emotion seed is sowed, and then it grows step by step. Next. The preschooler, what happens is, the preschooler, that's what you see. Actually, the most important part of a person's life is first 1,000 days. All the things are developed or sowed only during this first 3 years. But actually what people think is, till 3 years they don't know anything. No, it is actually first 100,000 days is very, very important in any person's development. So preschool, they begin to understand the emotional experiences. What are the causes? What are the outcomes? For example, if I cry, what happens? If I smile, what I get? If I don't smile, what I don't get? Like that. Then it is supplemented by self-conscious emotions like pride, guilt, and shame and embarrassment. This 4 alone is a starting one. For example, I utter a word. Immediately by gesture, I appreciate that. That is a pride. You smile. You do one thing. Or you don't do anything. Or you do something unwanted. Then there is a shame or embarrassment. These things are there. Next. Then comes the middle childhood. Here what happens, for example, in the school, the elementary school level itself, they are more reflective and strategic about their emotional lives. Here we pass so many comments about all those things. Automatically, the cognition, the intelligence comes into the force, and the behavior has also influenced. So you would have to apply a behavior strategy as well as the means. So what happens is, many times what we learn is, as an infant, we are freely expressing our emotions. As we grow, we start learning how to hide them. The genuine feelings are intentionally dissembled. In this place, you have some amount of empathy or a greater emotional understanding of others. When somebody suffers, the school child, the middle school person is actually feel for it, worries for it. Next. Then comes the adolescence. Adolescence is just like an infant. That's what the swings reappearing. See, characteristic of an adolescent, any of you, if you have an adolescent boy or girl at home, just like that they will cry. Just like that they will laugh. That swings are reappearing. There is a unique origins of personal experience. On their experience, they come to a conclusion. They are sensitive to psychological basis of emotions like peers. For example, my friend like this, my group like this, my set like this, other group doesn't like that. Like that, it is influenced by the peer group. Then they are having symbolic elicitors like music. They are able to express their emotions on the symbolic ways like a music or a dance or other things. Next. The adulthood. What happens is, the whole character itself, it changes. The emotion is totally being, what we see is based on our lifestyle. For example, if I am an HOD, if I am occupying a top post, he is a CEO. As long as go higher in the ladder, you must learn not to express your real emotions. That is what you learn when you become an adulthood. So you would have to skillfully manage the expression of your personal feelings, because this personal feeling expression will throw some personal goals and depends upon the situations where you express those things. So emotionally, What happens in adulthood is you are expected to be more stable and predictable. For example, if I move with you for about a year or so, then I can understand this is the way you can do that. That means your personality is well formed. Your character traits are well matured. So that type of things happens in adulthood. So from infancy to adulthood, it keeps on modulating, shaping and shaping, and you have the total emotional development. Next. So each stage of life, there is a new capacities of emotional expressions. What is the very important thing here you would have to keep in mind is, based on this emotional growth, your personality is growing. Your personality is shaping. Based on the personality means the person has to live continuously on all those things. This is the way he has to react. This is what your likes. This is what your hates. These are all your things you able to do it. So the emotional growth is an important part of growth of the personality. There is a relation between emotional development and growth of the personality. For example, when a patient comes to me, if I ask, what do you have? What is your problem? Then immediately they will say, I have pain, fever, all those things. Some other people will say, that is the reason I have come to you. You tell me what problem I have. This shows the personality. This is what the emotion is, the very important part of the growth of the personality. Next. What is the emotion? See, we talk about this word. Most of these terms are the phenomenology used in psychology and psychiatry or day-to-day usage. But when we ask what is the real meaning, many people have a difficulty in explaining it. So what is emotion? Very easily we are using that word. What is emotion? It has got different types of expression. It may be a butterfly in your stomach. It may be a subjective experience like inability to concentrate, or depletion of energy or increase of energy. When I'm happy or jubilant, my energy bubbles out. Then cognitive appraisals like threat, goal, achievement. You look at the person's face and come to a conclusion. Linguistically, you use a lot of words to express your emotions finally after the language, because you communicate that I am very much fearful, I am angry, now I enjoy. Expressive components. Next. There are so many theories are there. There is one theory called structural theory, another one is functional components. This very important thing which I would like to tell you is fear and anger. Many times we simultaneously use these particular words. Fear means rapidly mobilizes body's resources to flee. When we think that the particular experience is fear, you try to avoid, you try to run out of that place. But once you are angry, you are ready to fight rather than flight. So like that, each word has got different type of psychophysiological component. So the humans are able to have better capable of surviving and reproducing in the natural environment. Because of the emotions only, we are able to survive. The emotion. Next. Functionalist. See what happens, functional things, what happens, they say is, you have readiness or attempt to establish yourself. For example, emotion changes between the person and the environment on matters of significance to that person. For example, if a particular person is significant, if my child, my student, my ethnic group, my relative is a different type of things. Like that, it has got a readiness to establish. Then associated with distinct facial expression. Based on that only, you measure the emotions. Many people try to measure emotional expressivity based on this biological marker, that is the facial expression. But what we feel is these indicators may not be innate. It is a result of gradual refinement of facial activity. For example, if I am a very good actor, then I can pose my facial expression in a different way. Because of neocortical maturation, neurologically it must be there. Socialization based on my level of culture, self-organizations, and other developmental process. They say that it's very, very deceptive. All the facial expressions are mainly deceptive. Next. The expression of smile reflect happiness, contempt. At the same time, the same smile may be showing embarrassment. So it may find the true underlying feeling. Because somebody is smiling, you cannot take it into account that it is a one type of emotion. The smile observed in the context of gaze aversion, withdrawal, and effusive compliment may be interpreted as part of the emotion of the family of embarrassment. The same smile in the context of eye contact, outstretched arms with exclamation, I did it, is a completed task might be regarded as a part of pride. The same smile, there are two types of things. It can show us embarrassment, or just like you will have tears when you are happy as well as you are sad. Next. It is a multi-method assessment. So it is not easy to assess so quickly what type of emotion. It involves the interaction between the person and the environment. Next. How do they develop these emotions? It has got different types of stages. One is based on your body type. Some people, they say that your nervous system, how your sympathetic system reacts, how genetically how you are predisposed. Then how do you perceive emotions in others? Then how do you understand a particular thing? Whether you have developed an empathy or sympathy, how much you understand yourself, then there are so many rules to say that your emotions can be displayed. Then finally, you must know how to control your emotions or regulate your emotions. So all these things combined together, the emotion is developed. Next. Next. It has got a psychological foundations. You see, emotion is that even in a single cell. Even in the plant, you might have seen certain plants shrink when you touch, isn't it? Certain things is actually blossom when you look at it. They say that certain plants grow by music. So it is a very, very primitive part of the brain. First, the oldest brain is the things. Finally, what we learn is only by development, sophisticated regions. The human brain, which has got a bigger cortex, we do not know the functions, but it controls the basic primitive expression. Then comes the hormones and neurotransmitters. You might have heard about so many love hormones, or other things, affection, all those things will be there. So simple emotional reaction is surprisingly a complex psychobiological event. And unpredictable swings of arousal then enhance the capacities of emotional regulations. Next. Then what happens is you would have to perceive the emotion accurately. Some people are, that is what you call it as emotional intelligence. Some people able to perceive this type of emotion is going to occur. This type of emotions is going to trigger. This type of emotions can be aborted. Like that, you must be able to perceive accurately. Next. Then you must understand. Understanding of emotion become incorporated into young children's knowledge itself. 2 to 3 years, the emotions is mainly by fulfillment of desires. The crying child, you feed, or the child who is left alone, you cuddle. Like that, it is fulfillment of desires. When it grows, what happens? It is linked to satisfaction or frustration of desires. Both can produce the emotions and understanding to belief. So what happens as you able to grow, you understand the emotions. Next. Then what happens in the middle child, they are related to antecedent causes. Typical example is you go to a dentist. Once you have that, you go to a doctor by giving a injection, or you go to a teacher who beats, like that, or you go to a person who frowns, like that. We are related to the antecedent causes. Then comes 9 to 10 years, children begin to understand how multiple emotions can be simultaneously evoked by the same event, such as feeling happy and scared and performing before a group. Next. From where they develop all these things? An intellectual capacity and social experiences. An intelligent child will be able to manage the emotions in a better way. Then they have the opportunities to learn about the emotions. For example, if you are not exposed, very standard life, very routine life, then you may not be able to do that. Children beginning to share their experiences and observations with caregivers in simple accounts. They learn from the nearby. The first thing is parents or caregivers or anybody. Next. Parents, actually what happens is they would have to inquire about this, how type of this emotion is developed, why these emotions. They must interpret, they must clarify the child's accounts. Many times this is very, very important. That is what you see olden days, we have a joint family system. Whenever you are disturbed, there will be somebody to clarify, somebody to interpret, somebody to inquire about your emotional swings. In doing so, adults not only clarify, but also socialize emotional knowledge. This is how you develop the knowledge about emotion. Conveying expectation about appropriate emotional behavior and causes and consequences of emotional displays. Next. Then after that, you develop sense of this belongingness, emotional empathy. It enhances the child's vicarious sensitivity, emotions to others. Respond resonantly. That's what, if you say that one child cries, automatically the other child cries. If one person is being threatened, this is the crowd psychology, the other person gets the fear. Like that, we respond resonantly. Then comes the empathetic responses, increase the sophistications. Then you learn to do how to manipulate. That is called sophistication, means here it is the manipulation. Next. Why this, what happens is your pro-social initiative increases. So for example, if somebody is depressed or somebody is worried, I try to show some concern for that. It reflects the children's developing affective as well as cognitive awareness of other people. So what happens is you are emotionally to relate. That makes you to relate and develop a relationship. So empathy remains motivationally a complex phenomena. Next. It is actually, then comes the, you understand yourself. It tied closely the growth of self-understanding. What happens is, many times the child, if you see in the very early stages, I will do it myself. Once I complete and accomplish a task, I feel happy. I feel jubilant. I develop pride. Looking and smiling at an adult is smiling, gaze aversion, self-touching. You can communicate your appreciation or disapproval by all these things, by say smile or by a gaze or by a touch. So appreciation of standards of conduct that is personally meaningful to the child, then the pride by accomplishment, and apply those evaluations of their own behavior. Next. If the child violates a significant standard of conduct, then it becomes developed guilt. It relies on parental evaluations. So it depends upon how the surrounding, the parental group or the caregiver evaluate your particular emotional experience as well as the outcome. It leads to connection to growth of self-understanding. So by this, what happens is your self-esteem is formed. This is how you develop the self-esteem. You feel worth, you feel fidelity, you feel more morale. So evaluative standards to the child and feelings associated with compliance or misbehavior also tied to the warmth, That is the security of the parent-child relationship. I have a person who can lean on. I have a person who can guide me. I can have a person who can evaluate me. That type of relationship called sense of security. Next. Understanding and use of display rules. This is mainly from social. For example, in the primitive society, this is not at all a problem. They express the emotion just like that. But in a society, what you learn is you have to approve, you have to recognitions, you have to accomplish. All those things are involved. So display rules used to mask the expression of true feelings. You learn not to express, that is called socialization. That's what I used to tell my students. You become more and more mature means you have to cannot be original or you are not express. Then that becomes the original of yourself. So what happens is, by this, what is the benefit? Avoid hurting others' feelings, preserve relationship. For example, a person have an unpleasant experience. Immediately you don't laugh. But you like to laugh, but you should not do that. So children do not share this awareness. Next. So the meaning, application, and importance of display rules increase significantly. Children make remarkable discovery. So emotional appearance is not necessarily an emotional reality. For example, I am feeling happy. That doesn't mean that I'm really happy. I look sad, but doesn't mean that I am really sad. People may deliberately seek to deceive concerning their true feelings. Sometimes what happens, their own feeling can be disguised and thus retain privacy of emotional expression. That is the reason why when you want to cry, you want to go alone and cry with privacy. Next. Next. These goals are shaped by social context. Earliest are efforts of the caregiver. They teach you the child's control of emotionality and arousing experience are being altered. So you coach the children on expectations or strategies for emotional management. By this, you try to manage the emotions. Next. With growing maturity, managed internally in increasingly sophisticated ways. That is what is the maturity? As a matured person means you must be able to understand people by understanding yourself. Next. Emotions and relationships. Based on this only, your relationship is going to strengthen or going to be weakened. The children who are abused or neglected often show depression or marked anger that reflect the emotional consequences of their maltreatment. So emotion only makes as a healing or as a worsening part of any type of relationships. Next. The role of emotions in this personality development is very, very important. That is what I told. Based on these type of whole through, right from infancy to adulthood, your development of personality is important. Even though people say that personality is mainly biological, mainly hereditary, but expression of the personality traits is based on your emotional development. I may have a lot of antisocial traits, but I may not express it. It is more apparent that we turn to the third facet of early personality development, that is the growth of the self. Next. By knowing these things about the emotional development, now we talk about the emotional learning things, that is called social emotional learning. Most of the teachers must be knowing SEL. Next. Actually, it is a collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning, that is called CASEL. Social emotional learning is defined as the process by which children and adults regulate emotions, set goals, demonstrate empathy, build healthy relationships, and make constructive choices. So this is what you called about things. See, to start with, people were come for the college or school only to get educated, academic excellence. Now it is quite different from that. Next. Social emotional learning epitomizes and encompasses The fundamental skills students need to possess in order to excel. In order to excel what? Academically, behaviorally, socially, emotionally, and professionally. For example, to start with, we were concentrating only on academic for some time. Now he must be behaviorally also acceptable. That's what I told, especially the medical practice, medical students. I may have a very good subject in medicine. If I don't behave properly, I don't interact properly, the whole knowledge is a waste. I must be able to socially and emotionally, professionally. For example, you might have seen a lot of news that many hospitals being ransacked, being attacked by people. Why? Because they have maybe good in academics, but they have lacked in behavior, social, emotional, and professionally. Next. Students who experience the feelings of empowerment, this slide is a very important one. Even though it is a thing, the few words which has been highlighted are very important. Assert themselves, communicate effectively, demonstrate accountability, engage in reflective practice, manage time and stress, display leadership abilities, possess optimism, zest, charisma, and resilience are better equipped to problem solve. Why all these things are necessary? When a problem comes, you must be able to solve. For that, you must be equipped properly. For that, you need all these qualities. And deal with challenges, cope, overcome. Cope and overcome is called adaptations. Overcome adversity, collaborate. You cannot do everything on your own. Demonstrate compassion and empathy. Learn from mistakes, further perpetuating growth, awareness, and efficiency. This is a very important slide where all these things are being expected with a particular objective. So this is what may be taught or being expected. Next. If you believe you can achieve anything you set your mind to in school and in life, it must be started from the campus. As parents, educators, leaders, and advocacy group and systemic change agents, it is imperative that help them amplify whatever they have. It must be amplified. It must be augmented and maximize their self-worth, self-concept, competency, abilities, and self-fulfilling prophecy. Next. In today's global society, businesses are demanding higher intuition and responsiveness from their employees. Sorry. Today, many work settings require collaboration and relationship, building not only within the office, but nation and worldwide. Beyond the academics, students worldwide need to possess specific social emotional learning skills, both intrapersonal as well as interpersonal. So many conflicts are within me, that is called intrapersonal. Many things I do which I don't like. Many things which I don't do but I like. That's called intrapersonal. Then interpersonal. In order to achieve success in their post-secondary endeavors, this is what now being expected of any individual. It is not your marks, it is not your degree, it is not your medals. Next. What happens is, they have done studies and found out that students who possess critical social emotional learning skill experienced 11% gain in academic achievement. This is what they have found, which is a very considerable one. Students also experience decrease in dropouts who reduced classroom behavior issues, teen pregnancy, mental health struggles, as well as delinquent behavior in that those who possess pro-social skills are more resilient, capable to overcome adversity and persevere until they achieve their goals. Students and employees who possess a high degree of self-awareness, self-management, and a strong return on investment in that, for every dollar invested, the fiscal return of $11. You see, 10 times. So social emotional learning is a very, very profit-making task. Next. What are the core competencies? Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. Next. This is covered under 4 areas and 3 domains. What are the 4 areas? You must have skills, you must have the particular situation, you must develop, and you must produce a result. Outcome is very important. That is what I used to say, I know the language, I must apply that in a proper time, then I must produce a result. Many people know, they apply also in time, but very few only produce a result. So the result is very important. The result, how it comes is, actually, you would have to use appropriate amount of your knowledge, not full amount of the knowledge what you have. The 3 domains are, one is cognitive regulation, emotional process, and social and interpersonal skills. Next. Cognitive regulation means attention control, memory. I think cognitive regulation. Cognitive regulation. I think the previous slide you go. Yes, attention control, memory, cognitive flexibility, critical for career readiness. In that, it prepares the students to maintain focus. What for all those things? Your intellectually higher mental functions must be intact. What for? To maintain focus, to retain information, and as well as enable them to see issues from a myriad of perspectives. So many perspectives. You don't see in one tubular vision. You have to see in different angles, different dimensions, different perspectives. So all these things are there. So attention, concentration, orientation, memory, then general information, and the judgment. These things goes into the process of the whole type of learning process. Next. Then comes the emotional processes. Enable students to increase their self-control, ability to reflect, as well as decrease impulsivity. This is very important. You must be able to have control of your own self. Then you must be able to put it across. At the same time, you should not be impulsive. Enhance their self-awareness, emotion identification, as well as promotes greater pro-social behavior. What are those things? Friendship building, problem solving, perspective taking, and impulse control. See, for example, you compare these 2 things, many of your projects get stuck because you are not able to build a good friendship, you are not able to solve the problems, you are not able to see things in a proper perspective, and you are not able to control your impulses. So problem solving and impulse control are vital for career readiness, as these skills allow people to solve their problem in a healthy and constructive manner, as well as empowers people to think before acting, as every action has got a consequence. That's what I used to tell my students. Don't get any enemies. Even you need not have friends, but don't get even a single enemy, because managing that will drain away your resources. Next. Social and interpersonal skills. These things are very imperative for collaboration, teamwork, consulting, resolving problems. Even for this meet, see, you need to collaborate with so many people. You need to have a teamwork. You have to resolve problems as and when. Being able to work effectively with others, so may have different mindsets or work styles and still get the job done well. Problem solving and pro-social skills are critical to possess. Enable people to negotiate problems, solve them in a collaborative manner, as well as allow others to interact and communicate with others in a respectful, open, and flexible manner in which everyone is heard and validated. This is a very important thing. That's what you see people who have reached to the top. They say that when they win, they say it is a teamwork. When they fail, I think they take up the responsibility. This is a very important skill. Next. What are the intrapersonal skills? You must be able to adapt. You must evaluate yourself. You must have a mindset to grow. You must have the optimistic attitudes. Then you must have the time and stress management. Then you must have lateral thinking process, capacity to resilience, character and leadership skills. That means you must be mentally healthy. One day, if time permits, I will talk to you all about what is mental health. Next. Interpersonal skills, communication and active listening, conscientiousness, accountability, problem solving, conflict resolution, empathy, motivation. Among these things, very important thing is accountability. For example, if a department head is very much accountable, I think the subordinates are very much secure and safe. If they are able to listen to them, then automatically the communication skills improve. If you are able to have certain amount of conscientiousness, and you must be able to resolve the conflicts, and you must have the motivation, then finally it comes to empathy. Next. Who are knowledgeable and able to build trusting relationships, able to regulate emotions, possess empathy, are able to collaborate and communicate effectively, demonstrate an uncanny ability to manage time and stress, possess an ability to listen actively, resolve conflict proactively, as well as appreciate diversity, experience enhanced grades, as well as increased job performance and satisfaction in the workplace. This is a very important last line. This increased job performance and satisfaction in the workplace should have to go together. It should not go separately. Next. Social emotional learning supports pillars of academic achievement. Accountability, career success by teaching people about goal setting, communication skills, teamwork, problem solving, empathy and relatability, which are critical in order to foster open and healthy relationship in school as well as in the workplace. Next. So the relationship building are fundamental aspects of social emotional learning, as they enable us to amplify our collaborative skills as well as teamwork, which are integral to school and workplace success. Next. So what happens is, they have done certain survey. Companies that are most successful have employees who possess high degree of emotional intelligence. In that, they are able to understand, connect to, communicate with, possess insight and intuition, have willingness to work to their fullest potential in order to get a job done well. How this is being done well? Because time and stress management, emotional regulation, anger management, conflict resolution, communication, diversity, collaboration, accountability, and leadership. So that students have exposure to these skills that elicit career readiness and success. This is what those days Gurukulam teaching. Actually, you would have to learn from your teachers how to manage all those things. In that, actually, anger control is not the word, anger management. You would have to manage your anger in an effective way. Next. In order to prepare our students to become transformational employees, it is essential to provide them with opportunities to enhance their intrapersonal as well as interpersonal skills, as well as to create a school climate that is inclusive, engaging, celebratory, culturally responsive, peaceful, and provide students with opportunities to take on leadership roles, resolve conflict, demonstrate accountability, promote optimism, and foster empowerment, so that all student possesses the fundamental skills to be successful academically and professionally. That is what the final end. you are able to do that, they are not only successful academically, but professionally also, they has to be successful. Next. Because of this, what happens is they have a feelings of empowerment, and they have able to do all those things like maximize their self-worth, self-concept, competency, abilities, and self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you can achieve anything you set your mind to in school and as well as in life. Next. So now you have, I told about emotions, then I have told about emotional intelligence and its importance, then about problem-based learning. This is the talk of the day, isn't it? Anywhere you go, now they say that the learning and teaching must be problem-based. It is not mere the theory. Next. In real world experience, sorry, students find a problem that stimulates their thinking. They gather information to pose tentative solutions to the problem, and applying those solutions help them validating their knowledge. See, by doing this, they develop their knowledge. On the other side, problem burning is a socio-cultural theory which highlighted the importance of students' participation in cognitive learning communities, where the student interchanges and compares ideas with others, actively interacting to solve problems, and teacher coordinate their efforts. This is the very important role of the teacher. Teacher actually doesn't teach, but he coordinates, he scaffolds. Next. These are all the further subtitles on that. Problem-centered learning, student-centered learning, self-direction, self-reflection, collaborative work, and teacher scaffolding. Next. University students' problems are personal. Actually, the next one I will read first. When the student access to the university system, he or she faces a complex structure of demands to which he or she is not always ready, such as the autonomy in the learning process and the development of the social skills. So if you see the, actually first when the student comes to the university, the first lecture must be, what is the difference between a school and a college, or a school and a university? This is very important to make them know. It is not like continuation of the school system in the university or in the college. The more responsibility, what is the difference between a teacher and a lecturer? These things has to be explained to them. But here, surprisingly, university students' problems are more personal, family or economic, which result in insecurity and fear. Actually, we go in detail. Next. Emotional intelligence, as already told, the capacity to recognize our feelings and those of others. It's not only my feelings. I must know about others' feeling also. What for? Emotionality, ourselves, and interpersonal relationships. The other person has defined that it is a set of personal, emotional, social abilities and skills that have influence on our capacity to adapt and meet the environmental demands as well as the pressures. Next. The access to education in our region has increased. Now many people are coming for education. However, this does not mean that young people has developed personal competencies necessary to cope with the labor world. This is what's happening. They say that we have so many graduates, but they are not actually able to have personal competencies. Next. The ability is considered to be most important finding that leadership, strategic planning, prospective, decision taking, impact and influence, business knowledge, achievement, orientation, empowerment, people development, and work team direction are the best rated. These are all the things. That's what I used to tell my students, that I remember my students who ask best questions. not remember them who gives a best answer or the right answer. Once you start questioning, all these things are involved in that. Leadership, strategic planning, prospective, decision taking, impact and influence, business knowledge, achievement, orientation, empowerment, etc. Next. The main objective of the Ministry of Education is the students to attain relevant and quality learning. At the same time, it will favor the national development and competitiveness. What for this whole government is doing for the national development, and you must be competitive across the globe. That is to emphasize the actions that may foster and encourage the development of both cognitive and non-cognitive learning, which encompass soft skills directly associated to emotional intelligence. Next. It is essential to propose and execute teaching learning process. For what? To allow strengthening the competencies and or the abilities most required in the labor context. Finally, I had to see, that's what I used to ask my students. What for you are studying this subject? To know the subject, to earn money, or to become popular, or to do something out of the way, or you find out something in the interesting. So there are many people read for so many reasons, but people are not knowing what for they are coming and learning all those things. Taking into account emotional intelligence as well as the use of social abilities provide the students with necessary resources for their personal development. That is most important. It is desirable to generate a training program in social abilities and emotional intelligence that may consolidate their use and the use of main components. Next. It is worth mentioning that intrapersonal capacity, understood as self-awareness, these are all intrapersonal, within myself. Self-awareness, assertiveness, self-confidence, this methodology provides the student with autonomy, develops in him or an attitude of engagement with his or her own learning, leads him or her to constantly reflecting and thinking on process through which he or she builds his or her capacities by means of activities such as discussion, argumentation, self-assessment, and the assessment. Actually, in this slide, you might have seen, I have put his or her, because most of the times now it is considered as general neutrality must be developed. That is also one part of the problem. Next. Interpersonal component. Attitudes and interpersonal competences which are useful in the professional markets. What are those things? Development of abilities and attitudes. Next. Adaptability component. The scoping capacity implies the appropriate identification, selection, and integration of previous knowledge, resources, and skills, which entails that in the face of a problem, an individual under problem-based learning method incorporates his or her learning in a coherent whole, subject to the nature of the problem. You don't see the pieces, you see the whole. Then the solution is whole, and the solution is the relief is permanent. It is not temporary. Next. The problem-based learning exposure leads the student to face the challenge of adapting new methodology. They learn to work in teams. They manage information, assume participative codependence in the process, and what it leads to finally is gain autonomy. We say that you must work into like that, but finally what it gains your autonomy. Those becoming potential stressors with which the student will have to deal with in order to fulfill the activities and tasks efficiently and effectively. Next. There is a mood component also. What is that is, where successes or failures are experienced, that is very important. You must be able to deal with success as well as failure similarly. Make the students learn your work dynamics that requires them to perform in a non-competitive and non-individualistic manner. That is very important. Many times in a group, what happens? They try to compete and they try to be individualized. That should be avoided. That will finally determine the causal attribution of the results obtained as success. That is called goal achieved or failure. Many times the success means they think that what happens is that they think that what is the thing is you come as a first person. No, completing a task itself is called success. Not completing a task itself is a failure. That's what I used to tell my students. You have bought this book. This book has got 1,500 pages or 600 pages. Have you read this book at least once full? That is called success. Those causing to experience positive emotions such as happiness, joy, and optimism for ourselves, our own capacities, and others' capacities. Consequently, success experiences in the classroom promote optimism for future learning, successes that may involve work with peers. So, for example, you learn something, you won't stop with that. You want to learn more and more, more and more. Like that only you go to what type of relations or what type of outcome you are going to develop. Next. What are the related terms used here is social and emotional learning, already I told. Student-centered learning, whole child instruction, character education for the 21st century skills, non-cognitive skills, non-academic skills, soft skills, and life skills. You see the whole process, the academy is totally taken out. Next. So what is the supposed system of the youth? The individual strength and capacities. You take the top half, that decrease in negative behaviors, that is family, faith-based, neighborhood, school, work. You take the bottom half, it increase in indicators for thriving, that is programs, social services, peers, and work. So these both has to perform in a tandem way. Then actually the youth will be supported in a better way. Next. Next. 6 interconnected themes in youth-centered educational experiences. What are those things are? Relationships, identity development, certain agents, belongingness, meaningful learning, and intentionality. So if you are able to do all those things, you identify yourself. What are your assets and liabilities? How do you relate? What for you relate? What is your intention to do? What is the way you wanted to have learning? If you have learned, have you learned in full? Then you belong to a particular thing. Then these type of things, together these themes comprise a holistic youth-centered educational experience, what one young person called a learning ecosystem. Next. These are all the certain quotes told by that particular article. The ability to be able to go to someone and defend something you believe in, having that ability in life is huge. It gives you a sense of belonging and of being part of something. It is like everything has a purpose. Everything has got a purpose. Young people describe a vision of how learning happens that is inclusive all the things who I am. The last one is very, very important. Lot of schools or educational institutions teach you what they think you should know. No. This particular school teaches you what you think you should know. That is most important. It is not decided by, the decision must be taken by the self, what he wants. Next. While many elements of child's life improve along with cultivation of these skills, one of the main outcomes is better academic performance. If you are able to do all those things, automatically the academic performance improves. The promotion of social, emotional, and academic learning is not shifting educational fad. It is the substance of education itself. It is not something that the education will come down. We know that we learn best when adults know us make us feel safe, hold us responsible for our learning, and help us work constructively and productively together. So what happens is, if the student able to understand that, yes, there is a person who can understand me, then automatically whole problem gets solved. Research reveals that teachers' own social and emotional competencies influence the quality of learning experiences they offer to their students. Next. What are the certain facts? 8 in 10 employers say social and emotional skills are the most important to success, but yet are also hardest to skills to find. Another one is teaching students social, emotional, and cognitive skills and providing them with supportive adult relationships can buffer against the negative effects of stress and adversities. Now, most of the things we are worried in our country is social adversities. Social and emotional skills help to build cognitive skills. They help students learn academic content and apply their knowledge. So these are all the real facts. Now we can understand and able to associate what we have been told so far. Next. Research suggests that efforts to support social, emotional, and academic learning should be aligned across homes, schools, communities, because students benefit more when they have consistent opportunities to build and practice their skill. It is not only our teachers' job alone, it has to involve the whole society. Schools should handle conflict and discipline in ways that help us find our way back in rather than pushing us further out. This is a very important in the faculty's mind. Whatever the discipline we try to teach will bring him into the group rather than pushing out of the group. So every school should make sure each student has at least one adult to go to and trust. That is called mentors. Next. What do we know about learning that we didn't know 25 years ago? It's a fact many of you will accept. What do students, actually when we were students, I think many times we are not encouraged to ask questions. Now we encourage them to ask questions. What do students, families, educators, and business leaders all want from our schools? What does it look like to educate the whole student? How can we help schools do this work? Next. How does this relate to parents' biggest concern? The safety and well-being of their children. I think to put these things across, now many parents are very much worried about their grades, marks, ranks, all those things. Next. Is this yet another burden for teachers? Now I am telling so many things on the teachers. Is it not a burden on them? How we are going to equip them? Next. Set a clear vision that broadens the definition of student success to prioritize the whole child. Next. So what is involved is, this slide clearly shows us something like a picture: home, school, community, and peer interaction. All these things has to play. During school hours, certain things. After the school hours, certain things. So everything should have a tandem and then able to dance together. Then only the rhythm will be fulfilled and the outcome will be very good. Next. These learning environments are nurturing young people's sense of themselves as valued, multidimensional community members. See, what happens is, this is what happens when the students come out of the campus. They don't feel valued. They don't feel multidimensional. They don't feel as community members. They say that I can't practice here. I would have to go to either some other country where my salary will be much better. Next. It gives you a sense of belonging and being part of something. That is the most important. We tell that it is a school of excellence or all those things, but it must give you a sense of belonging and being part of something. Next. Parents want their children to be able to manage their emotions, get along with others, and regulate themselves in ways that allow them to achieve goals. They want to excel in academics. That's what previous some slides I have told. All these things will lead to achievement in the academic activities. Next. So integrating social, emotional, and academic development, an action guide for school leadership teams. Next. These things you can refer to these articles. Next. Next. Thank you for listening. And now I did deliberately I avoided the stress and stress management. Now already we might have stressed out, and we can have discussion of the management on stress and stress management by questions and answers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So now the session is open for the questions. So please raise your hand in the or you just say your name in the chat box. So we'll call one by one, and you can ask the question by unmuting yourself.
Anybody hurt or anybody mentally abused, I always keep calm, and I just away from the place. Sometimes these things taken as the advantage, they are making some unnecessary issues and some other things. So how to handle the situations and how to manage that people like
You see, it is something like that. For example,
hello.
yeah, thank you. See, managing a particular problem is different from managing a stress. Hello, are you able to hear? Hello, are you able to hear?
Yes, sir.
You're audible. Please.
Audible.
Yeah, okay. See, for example, what she has asked is a particular situation. See, when you call it as a stress is when anything you are not prepared for it. Anything which is unexpected, unprecedented, unwanted, untimely. See, there is no such thing called stress. If you are prepared well, you are expecting those things, then it is no more a stress. You would have to equip yourself to manage your stress. There are two ways of doing managing this. One is you equip yourself, prepare yourself, expect all those things, and keep a particular answer or dealing a strategy ready. Or you try to insulate yourself so nothing can disturb you. This is two ways of approach.
Yes,
one is improving your skills, or you would have to be becoming more powerful. That doesn't happen at all. What you have used a word mental abuse, I think it is a very big topic. It has to be dealt in detail. If you are all interested, one day I will cover. Because mental health, finally I told that if like physically health and robust, we have to be mentally health and robust. Many people do not know what is mental health. Mental health is not success. Mental health is not something feeling happy. Mental health is not something you are earning something. Mental health is a different topic which can deal with you so that mentally it cannot be disturbed. That we will cover it on some other day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Ashok Behra, you can ask your question now, please. Unmute and ask your question.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Good morning,
yes,
sir. Very nice session, sir. Out of this whole session, I think this is most beautiful for me because I'm from pharmacy background. I work in the medicine research and teaching also. So out of this material science, it's really helpful for me to learn. But I do have a question that whenever supposed to, so we usually stress and also with
I couldn't hear you.
whoever
Some echo is going on.
if they
Can you type that?
Dr. Behra, you
Just a
have
minute.
You can write
yeah.
your things in the chat box. You please type it.
Actually, he has given, sir, he has written that a lot of stress is usually coming day to day nowadays. So, how to handle and avoid such stress? That is his question.
No, if you are
Hello?
existing means
Hello,
you are
am I audible,
facing.
sir?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes. Do you
Yeah,
want to
am I
add
audible
anything?
now? Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
So
yeah,
my
yeah.
question, yes, sir. Yeah, I want to add. Actually,
Okay.
every human being is having different tendency, egos, right? That egos make them a stress. Usually, I feel that whenever we supposed to go work and if one has to be there is an equality of work distribution. If there is an unequal work distribution, if someone is having more works and someone is forcing you to I did it and I submitted it. But why more work is given to me? So there is no equality. So in that case, we never used to focus in our work. So it gives us stress. How to manage this? I mean, if someone is saying something, if someone is you are seeing someone is doing injustice. When you are raising your voice, he is giving you power. They are giving you powers. So in that case, how to handle this thing? I mean, you have to be quite I don't understand these things. So this kind of thing, internal person who is there. So how to deal with that? Because you are a psychologist, so it is my question to you, sir. This makes us stress also.
Very good. Now I can understand how much you are suffering. See, the main thing is, see, I think if you are able to do more work, that is going to give you more experience. If you are going to do more activities, that is going to be, you are going to be more useful to many people. Nobody can work beyond their capacity. That shows that your capacity is phenomenal. Increase that capacity. Nothing will go waste. That is the reason why many times in the private concerns they say that they pay you by your pieces. See, for example, if you do a work for 10 to 5, or your payment is based on your achievements or completing this task, then it will not be a question. So you work for more experience and more money. But thing is, you say that so much, that means you have understood the person. Now you would have to deal accordingly. What for you are going being there? What is the purpose of being there? Is it worth taking that strain? Is worth taking that burden? See, many times that's what I used to tell in the management workshops, that you cannot make somebody to work. You cannot make somebody to learn. You cannot somebody to feel. When he is ready to work, we make them to work. When you are ready to earn, you will make them to earn. Ready to feel happy, ready to do complete the task. That shows that you have a very good trait. Why do you waste that trait by looking at some people who are not all right? Worry about yourself, achieve more. Once you are not there, your presence will be very much felt, isn't it? That is what going to happen. Our presence should not be felt when we are there. Now you are about whom you are telling, that clearly shows his presence is felt when he is there. But your presence will be felt when you are not there. That is a very big dividend you are going to get, isn't it? Keep it up.
Okay, so I think now
Thank
we'll
you,
move
sir.
to the next
Thank you very
question.
much.
Uh, one is from Sunny Nandi. So you can unmute and ask your question. So please be short, be and specific over your question.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir. It was a very nice presentation. Sir, I would like to ask you one question is that how to control our anger? Because some people are very short-tempered type of persons. So how to overcome that, sir?
You see, you need not control anger. That is the main thing which I word used. You must manage the anger.
Yes, sir.
See, the best emotion in the world is anger. If I tell you, it will be a surprise. Because anger gives you a energy.
Yes, sir.
Understand?
Yes, sir.
That energy has to be channelized properly. Many times what we show is not anger, what we feel is not anger, what we feel is rage and aggression. Aggression is detrimental to self as well as to others. So anger is a very, very prospective term. See, many times you say that, how did you do this? Because that person has insulted me, I contained my anger and I showed to the world that I can.
Yes,
So
sir.
the energy has to be consolidated, conserved, and properly converted into an action. And your angry must be able to produce better effects in the other person.
Mm-hmm.
But what we show is mainly aggression. Aggression shows your helplessness. You don't have resources. So once resources are depleted, you show your aggression. And it is an inability. It is not an ability. So you must learn managing the aggression. Something like water. I used to tell my students, water comes. If you have two banks and dam, I think that water is more useful. Otherwise, it becomes waste, isn't it? Like that, anger is a very, very potentially positive emotion. Actually, I can tell you 20 years back, 15 years back, when the IT came into Chennai, I used to get the cases from people, IT things, that this person is very angry and disturbing the whole teamwork. He is referred for anger management. At that time, we did not know what is anger management. I used to make him to see me 15 days in my consulting chamber. My consulting chamber is heavily crowded. I say that once you control your anger and see me quietly, that means I say that you have passed the anger management test. That, that was the thing. So he must be able to understand the situation. He must be able to understand himself. Then you prioritize your demands and needs and necessities and able to manage your time. I think all anger will go off.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, one day I will talk you to all the faculty on anger management.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sir, there is one more question from Dr. Ashok Bera. So I'll read it out. So actually, he want to understand like what kind of skill development actually is needed for stress management.
See, all those things which I have told, understand yourself, understand your emotions, then understand the opponent's emotions, understand the opponent's skills and assets. You must know your strengths and weaknesses, and they must know their strengths and weaknesses. If your weakness is known to others, that is their strength. If others' weakness is known to you, that is your strength. So, like that, we have certain things. It is not one time ready-made answer. Like that, you have to analyze and develop certain skills. Rather than developing skills, better remove certain traits which you have in you. That is the very important thing managing stress. Many persons are thinking that this is good or this is their asset and carrying the baggage with them. So many things you would have to get out of this. I think automatically your stress level will come down.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Sir, one
Thank
last question actually we'll take from because we are running out of time. So it is from Ajay Pratap Singh Gehlot. Sir, you can please ask your question, Mr. Ajay.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
My question is about relationships in family or personal and as well as in institutional or social relationships. So all these affect human beings. So sometimes due to that person get affected. So how to manage and balance these relationships up and downs?
Can you repeat the question?
I want to know the relationship. It may be personal relation, family relation, and social as well as. So they affect human beings. So how to manage and balance these relations?
See, successful in human relationship has got so many things. One thing is, what is your role? What is the other person's role in your life, and what is your role in other person's life? The relationships are classified not like other things. It's only two relationships. One is indispensable, another one is dispensable. You decide whether the relationship is going to be dispensable or indispensable, then you formulate a strategy. Or based on your methodology, the relationship will become indispensable or dispensable. And based on that, you would have to develop. It is a very good tailor-made approach only for each individual problems. We do not know what are the traits which you have, what are the assets you have, what are the resources you have, where it begs into the problems. Once we analyze, we can actually trim and we can chisel out certain things which you don't like and allow it to grow certain things which is needed. Another important thing is you would have to unlearn certain things which you have already learned in managing your stress, and you would have to learn what is to be learned, that is the further development. These things we would have to follow. Automatically your relationship will improve, whatever may be the type of relationships.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So if audience has further questions, we will share. Are we allowed to share your email ID, sir?
Oh, yes, sure, 100%, no problem.
So we'll share sir's ID, so you can have an interaction with him. So with that, I'm just handing over the session to Dr. Senthil Kumar. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the organizing committee, Nanotechnology Research Center SRMIST, we thank once again to you for accepting our invitation and for the excellent talk. In fact, last 4 days we had a very focused talk on materials, and today it was on emotional development and stress management. It was a fantastic talk, and thank you, sir, once again. I hope we will have one physical talk maybe next year. We will invite you for other program. And thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I also thank Rohit for sharing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.